79th United General Assembly begins. Nigeria seeks deeper relations among member states.
The reason why the UN exists. But the task of prevention becomes all the more difficult when conflict becomes normalized.
And Senate receives request for confirmation of Kudirat Kekereekun as Chief Justice of Nigeria.
Presidency approves revision of the consolidated salary structure and 11 others with effect from 29th July 2024.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall focus resolutions of the CBN Monetary Policy Committee meeting.
Well, Claire, is CBN NPC
we are back on the same route again.
Yeah, it's good to. Let's just look at it. Nigeria's Apex Bank has increased its benchmark interest rate, known as Monetary Policy Rate (MPR), by 50% basis point to 27.25%.
Absolutely. And now this increase is from 26.75% and represents 50% increase of the MPR by the Central Bank of Nigeria this year.
Yeah, the CBN also raised the cash reserve ratio by 50 basis points to 50% from 45% for deposit money banks and 16% for merchant banks.
The committee said it adjusted the asymmetric corridor to plus 500 and minus 100 basis points.
The rates were tightened to safeguard gains achieved recently, as explained by the CBN Governor Olayemi Cardoso. These increases are a battle to keep the economy stable, a fight that has been on since the year began.
Indeed, and that fight is still on, but the CBN Governor is assuring Nigerians that the banking sector remains safe and on a sound footing. Now, he also explained that after deliberating for 2 days, the 297th meeting of the MPC agreed to leave other parameters unchanged. Now, what this implies, according to the CBN Governor, is that the liquidity ratio was retained at 30%. Demola.
Well, these are all technicalities. we
will get to break them down later on.
For Cardoso, the latest inflation rates indicates that the CBN is on the right track and has done a great deal to restore trust in his work.
All right, so let's again backtrack a bit. And the economy, country's economy, of course, as we all know, has been a source of concern for a while with inflation, going up and down. We saw figures going from 28.9% in December 2023 to as much as 29.9% in January 2024.
Yes, Claire, but I must mention recent improvements in the inflation rates, though industry watchers insist this may not have serious impact on the man on the street because of other factors such as depreciation of the naira, which has made some serious impact on prices of goods and services in the country. We have guests joining us shortly to speak on the latest Monetary Policy Committee meeting of the CBN and its resolutions. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria today. Thanks for joining us. I am Ademola Adeoye. Did you see what I said?
I was hoping you don't say Claire. I didn't know what this.
I am a lot.
All right. And I'm Claire. Adela Abdul Razak. Don't mind us this morning. It's because of the technicalities of all the CBN, figures and all that. And Demola, I'm sure. I mean, I had a P7, in my time in my WAEC, so that was a pass.
In economics, right?
In mathematics.
In mathematics.
Yes, and it was a big, it was big deal for me.
I had A3 in economics.
No, we are talking about mathematics.
Mathematics, well, I had C6.
Yes. C6. So you don't have anything to worry.
This is technicalities. This.
Anyway, welcome to the program. It's Wednesday's edition, and we are live on the network service of the NTA. Chukwudi Okoli Ugbaja will be here. I don't know what he's called, but trust Chukwudi. Anyway, he'll be here to give us the newspaper review. Of course, that will be after the news with Olajide Bello, whom I also believe. Let me just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Claire. Good morning. And I'm Olajide anyways. I won't forget my name, for sure. Good morning, Nigeria, and here is the morning news. President Bola Tinubu is asking world leaders to deepen relations among member states of the United Nations in line with the principles of inclusivity, equality and cooperation. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, the President made the call while addressing world leaders during the general debate of the ongoing 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly at the UN headquarters in New York, United States.
Addressing the root causes of conflict is often the first step towards providing long-term solutions. Clearly, some of the root causes of conflict are social in nature, including poverty, hunger, ignorance, inequality and exclusion, as well as other forms of injustice.
Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has called on stakeholders across the globe to develop innovative approaches to fight both tuberculosis and antimicrobial resistance (AMR) in a strategic and integrated manner that targets prevention of new infections. She was speaking in New York at an event organized by Stop TB Partnership on the margins of the 79th United Nations General Assembly. Nigeria has solicited the support of Finland in its pursuit of a permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports that Vice President Kashim Shettima at a meeting with President of the Republic of Finland Alexander Stubb on the sidelines of the ongoing 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York said the support has become necessary given Finland's role as a European and NATO member and considering the role of Nigeria has played over the years in entrenching democratic values and peaceful cohesion. Nigeria has already indicated interest in the UN Security Council seat following calls for reforms and expansion of the Council by some UN member countries. President Stubb of Finland expressed total support for the expansion and reconstruction of the UN Security Council, saying the dynamics of the modern world demand such change. In a related development at the meeting between Vice President Shettima and the African Union Chairperson Musa Faki Mahamat, Vice President Kashim Shettima stressed the need for consolidation of democracy as well as peaceful collaborations. The Vice President indicated Nigeria's interest in hosting the African Central Bank, maintaining that Africa has come of age to host one. The AU Chairperson thanked Nigeria for its role in stabilizing Africa, adding that the AU will continue to ensure that African stability and peace remain a priority. The Senate resumes plenary after 2 months of recess to attend to legislative business. Among the requests from the President is the confirmation of the appointees, including the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun.
These glimmers of hope paved the way for a brighter future. The hard-won gains must not overshadow the pressing issues that still loom large before us. We must, as senators, prioritize the issues of security of our great nation.
President Bola Tinubu has approved a revision of the Consolidated Public Service Salary Structure Campus and 11 other structures with effect from 29 July 2024 in line with the National Minimum Wage Act 2024. Chairman, National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission, Ekwonta, disclosed this to newsmen in Abuja.
Whether it's self-funded or treasury-funded, that has not received any circular on this matter, specifically from this commission, should contact the commission for further directives. It is not of general application. That table you saw, which was in the social media, was specific for a particular salary table. So if you use it across board, you'll miss the entire point.
The federal government commends the National Media Complaints Commission, NMCC, the Nigerian Media Ombudsman, for its impartial and thorough investigation, which found Daily Trust reports on the Samoa agreements to be inaccurate, misleading and not in line with the Code of Ethics for Nigerian journalists. A statement by the Special Assistant to the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Rabi Ibrahim, says that the ruling serves as a testament to the importance of journalistic integrity and accountability, and also a reminder of the crucial role the media plays in shaping public perception through truthful and accurate reporting. And I'd say it's on the morning news. Good morning, Nigeria continues with Demola and Claire after this break. Don't go away.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undying demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we are more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, we are Nigeria, strength and unity, we know they carry life. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
A new edition of TV Guide is out.
This time, we got up close and personal with the transformational legislator, the Deputy President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Barrow Jibrin.
We've created a difference in terms of representation through interventions that have brought an unprecedented infrastructural development to my area.
This edition is a compendium of mind-blowing stories for your reading pleasure, ranging from technology, entertainment, economy, media, politics, family, and lots more.
It is indeed a park of excitement as we take you through every aspect of life. Pick up your copy and get abreast with issues and trending features within our space.
TV Guide, very incisive, very educative and compelling. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or any NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
We all get that party where they get your back anytime or day. E go carry a matter for head like say na your own. Now so Go TV tanda for your side as your party for correct enjoyment. We not a tear pocket. For this Go TV Super Plus Golden Window, you fit touchlight all the 380 Premier League games, correct local shows, and better film. We day for you. Make your sharply upgrade or recharge your Go TV on top Super Plus to enjoy every today. The Super Plus Golden Window don't come out money now. No do yourself, oh. Go TV. Love it.
We must all join hands to work hard so that we build a country for our grandchildren.
My hope is that we develop as a nation where every citizen is given his due right. There is transparency, honesty, and integrity.
Put the interests of this country first and foremost. Interest of Nigeria is being one nation one people.
The need, if I mean, to put things right, things that have gone wrong before, to try and put right, for this, for the love of country.
The race to qualify for the biggest football competition in Africa is on, the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. 48 teams in 12 groups, with only the top 2 teams in each group qualifying for the African Cup of Nations in 2025 in Morocco. Don't miss the action, suspense and unrivaled coverage on AfroSport TV and its affiliates partners across Nigeria, starting from September 2024 to November 2024. AfroSport, your freedom of sport.
This Sunday, live on Sporty TV, Real Betis, Espanyol. Real Betis versus Espanyol. Watch live on Sporty TV. Brought to you by SportyBet. Play with champions.
All right, it's a very, very cold morning here in the studio, and we welcome you once again if you've just tuned in. It's Good Morning Nigeria, and newspaper review will be coming up next.
Demo, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
It's still fairly cold.
It is
Well,
in here.
It is, yeah, it's the air conditioning. But out there, I think it's still fairly cold. Although I'm suppressing fever. I'm taking the drugs yesterday. Yeah, hello, Claire. How are you?
Hello, to sport.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You look resplendent, as usual.
Okay, let me quickly tee off, as they say in golf. I hope that's correct. Let's start off with the leadership. Now, leadership has its strong stories on the front page. Matawale denies links with bandits, demands proof. That story is on page 4. Blame Buhari for current economic hardship. This is attributed to CBN. Details of that on page 4. And the writers are, says Tinubu inherited battered economy. We are battling with repercussions of 35 trillion naira ways and means. And stakeholders raise concern over 27.25% interest rate. And of course, we see it's time to act for early years. And this picture story is showcasing First Lady, Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, with other African First Ladies and participants to the high-level dinner hosted by Organization of African First Ladies for Development of LAD and their world on the sidelines of the ongoing 79th UNGA in New York on Sunday. It's time to act for early years. That's the words coming from our First Ladies. And just inside there below the nameplate, Tinubu seeks permanent UN Security Council seat for Nigeria and Africa. That's at UNGA 79. And there are other stories trending on this front page. But let me quickly look at the story above the nameplate. FG to launch new school curriculum next month. FG to launch new school curriculum next month. Details of that on page 8. APC tackles Yaga Africa over Edo poll report. It's on page 18. And 86 million Nigerians living in multidimensional poverty. Another multidimensional poverty report is coming up again. But this time, this is ActionAid. 86 million Nigerians. The last time, I think it was over 100 and something. million Nigerians. So if this is 86, and we're seeing a reduction, but Chukwudi will probably speak to that much later. Blueprint is next, and experts differ as CBN raises lending rate to 27.25%. The blueprint, experts differ as CBN raises lending rate to 27.25%. Decision will address major forex inflation threats. That's coming from Professor Uche Waleke. And no, it has tendency to slow down investment. That's again coming from Muda Yusuf. These are two financial experts, of course, having different opinion as expected. Drama as Justice Nyako withdraws from Nnamdi Kalu's trial. It's also there trending on page 6. And there are other stories now. Oh, okay. I think I'll just stop at this and hand over to Ademola Adeoye.
Thank you, Claire. I have the Daily Trust newspaper with me, and below the nameplate we have Zamfara. Lawal Matawale's feud gets messier. Details on page 10. Against expectations, CBN raises interest rate to 27.25%. Details of that story can be found on page 7 or on page 19. Tinubu seeks UN permanent seat. Debt forgiveness for Nigeria orders. Details of that story can be found on page 6. And the major headline reads, Army discharges female soldier who accused officer of sexual advances, cites mental challenge, exonerates colonel of allegation, Women Affairs Ministry silent on the issue. And the details of that story can be found on page 4. Nigerians grappling with hardship, Akpabio. That story also can be found on page 4. Then we have Akures goes to sleep as monarch begins leave. And the EFCC probes own staff over 15 million bribery allegation. Chooks.
Hello. The question I asked is, what are the indications that Matawale actually did things to suggest that he had links with bandits? Could it be just, fisticuffs between him and Lawal? Is there any fire in the smoke some people tend to see? The allegations that somebody is affiliated to insurgents or bandits, are weighty allegations. And it is only proper that since the matter would not go away, a proper investigation should be carried out to know the veracity or otherwise of the allegation. I think that's what we can say at this point. But not necessarily linking this to Matawale. I am one of those who feel that insurgency in this country continues because some persons in high places know something but are not saying something. Maybe they're even doing something that might not be in the national interest. But then, speculation does have its limits. You don't even want to engage in it at all.
It's better.
But if we remember that Danjuma told the CDS just a few days ago, no more excuses. End banditry now.
Do something about it.
The impression you have is that Danjuma knows something we do not know. And of course, being a military man himself, he's only retired, he's still a military man by mentality.
A general.
He knows that there are ways we can handle this matter and it dies a natural death.
You know, Chukwu, the issue is that the burden of proof is always on the accuser.
Oh, sure.
So, with regards to the issue between Matawale and Lawal, I think the Enos.
You remember that man? Instead of owners, the man, we are not divulging, told us it was the anus rests on you. Claire, your mischief will never beat a retreat.
Anyway, and just as before we move away from the issue of insurgency and terrorism, there's a breaking news coming in, from our news report now from Gusau, and we hear that troops have eliminated another notorious terrorist kingpin, Kachala Makore, in Zamfara State. Again, breaking news from Zamfara. From Gusau, troops eliminate another notorious terrorist kingpin, Kachala Makore, in Zamfara State.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah, actually, it was in the papers yesterday, but maybe NTA would not rush into such without verification. So to us, it's new information. You don't speculate again. That's a good one.
Yes, this army discharges female soldier who accused officer of sexual advances. Chooks, you heard about the story?
Yeah, I read up the bit, but remember there are riders to that. They are saying that the lady's mental health is in doubt, you know, and that actually it exonerated the colonel who's been alleged to have done something to the lady. But then his advances they talked about, I am a bit excited and interested, because if it's only advances, there's not a case of, you know, somebody going further. I want to say that this is interesting, because in Africa here, the woman is taken so much for granted that even advances are not considered to be anything untoward. It is here in Nigeria you meet somebody just cuddle a lady in public around the waistline, and she's smiling instead of slapping him right there in public. An American woman would say, "Don't paw me, don't touch me." You know?
No, we don't do that in this climb. We don't.
We don't do what?
We don't slap people. We're not aggressive that way.
Yet
it's our culture.
you'd allow them to touch you anyhow in public?
No, we don't touch anyhow.
Really?
I don't think it's right. No, I don't think you're correct.
You're seeing something different from what I
Maybe what you're seeing is different from what I see, but we don't just.
Claire, do
they call you?
Is so
do I
silent.
just call you anyhow?
Please, gentlemen, can we move?
This is an important issue.
Of course it is an
your
important
editorial
issue.
judgment is different from ours.
No. It is an important issue, but
Yes.
both of you are trivializing it. And because the Ministry of Women Affairs,
Yes.
according to one of the papers,
They are silent about it.
They are silent about it.
Why are they silent?
Because
but
the silence is news to us.
We do not know the context of the sexual harassment. Yes, allegation. We do not know the context. So if we know the context, and indeed, who is to prove the mental alertness or mental fitness of the lady?
More and more issues you're raising now. Can you see it's a big issue?
It was stated
Yes.
that she was in the hospital, the psychiatric hospital. Actually, she's been there. And what this statement said is that the investigation was conducted in line with established protocol,
Yes.
with every effort made to ensure a fair and impartial process. Then it concluded that the findings were definitive and based on objective evaluation, available information.
No, but the fact that
the
they
lady
had
has been in the hospital.
Wait, the fact that
for
lady,
treatment.
the fact that the lady is receiving treatment for a condition, does it negate, the action that action did not take place?
Is there
a correlation?
That's what needs to. You said we
Exactly.
should know the context a little better.
Exactly.
So we do not speculate on the matter.
Exactly.
But I'm interested that in Africa, ladies are speaking up about advances,
Of
and
course.
I like it.
Of course.
I like it.
Of course.
We take women for granted a lot on the continent.
And our First Lady, frowns at anything that has to do with sexual, harassment. In
That's a good
fact,
one.
not just sexual harassment, gender based
Discrimination,
violence. Yes, generally. So I think let's leave that matter. And then the issue again I would like us to look at is I'm almost forgetting that. It's of course the issue of the CBN's allegation or the CBN's remarks about the economic hardship and why it's been difficult to address the issue. And I was trying to go through the to find out. And the CBN is raising some issues. The CBN said that the current administration came into a very loose money supply situation. And it gives instances. In 2015, Chukwudi,
Yes.
it says money supply was about 19 trillion.
Yes.
And in 2023, it was 54 trillion.
Yes.
And then according to, this same Mr. Cardoso, the printing of 35 trillion naira resulted in a huge amount of money in circulation, which translated to too much money chasing same amount of goods. So that's why, we're having...
You actually said they are battling with the repercussions of 35 trillion naira
Yes.
ways and means.
Ways and means.
That's on the high side. But you see, something I need to say to government is that there are certain things we don't want to hear. APC took over from APC. So it is their matter.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And that's
That's
the
it.
reason.
It's as simple as that.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Let them handle their baggage.
Thank you for that. So on that note, we draw the curtain.
We've been asked to...
We need to...
We've been asked to...
The director is signaling that we should take a break now. Thanks, Chooks, for
Thank
coming
you. Thanks
on
a lot.
Good Morning Nigeria today. We'll see you tomorrow, I hope. All right, we'll take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.
Diadem family.
Hey, we go here today. Back then I used to be Rasaki, but now I'm rebranded. Call me Shegun, you can call me no guest. How did you meet your lovely wife? It was an amazing journey. Adewale, mention a characteristic of a deceitful person. Cheating. You're corny. Pretense.
You're selfish.
NTA Television College Jos, with a pedigree of producing indelible professionals in the media space and an affiliate of the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, for the award of degree in mass communication, calls on prospective candidates to leverage on the following courses it offers for 2024-2025 academic session. BSc Mass Communication, those with minimum admissible score of 180 and above who sat for the 2024 JAMB/UTME and direct entry, while 100 to 179 minimum admissible score can apply for the National Innovation Diploma NID in Film and Television Production, Broadcast Journalism and Television Engineering. For more inquiries, visit our website or call 0803 383 4343. Announcer, Registrar.
We all get that party where they get your back anytime or day. E go carry a matter for head like say na your own. Na so GoTV tanda for your side as your party for correct enjoyment. We not a tear pocket. For this GoTV Super Plus Golden Window, you fit touchlight all the 380 Premier League games, correct local shows, and better film. We day for you. Make your sharply upgrade or recharge your GoTV on top Super Plus to enjoy every today. The Super Plus Golden Window don't come out money now. No do yourself, oh. GoTV. Love it.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Nigeria means a lot to me.
And Nigeria means peaceful cohesion.
My country.
We continue to pray, and then hopefully we will come to understand that unity of purpose, unity of living together.
Our ethnic beliefs and background and culture is our strength.
Ever since the amalgamation period of 1914 to date, about 109 years ago, the people of Nigeria live very peacefully with one another.
I think diversity helps a lot to enhance robust development in Nigeria.
All over the country, you have so many ethnic groups, over 250. That is enough to tell you that this is a blessed country, and that God has kept, together as one indivisible entity.
This Saturday, Chelsea,
Jackson, 1-0. This is Matoma.
Brighton,
And well there. Madueke, Chelsea looking for another early goal in this half, and they've got it. Big chance. Big goal. João Pedro.
Chelsea versus Brighton. Live on Sporty TV.
Sportybet sponsors coverage of the English Premier League.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. As a prompt for our conversation this morning on resolution of the 29th Monetary Policy Committee meeting, 79th, I beg your pardon, we have the background report.
The Central Bank of Nigeria yesterday held yet another Monetary Policy Committee MPC meeting. This is its 297th Monetary Policy Committee meeting. The MPC is the highest decision-making body of the Central Bank, responsible for formulating policies to maintain price stability, support economic growth, and manage inflation. The meeting raised monetary policy rate to 27.25% to determine the monetary policy direction for the short to medium term. Governor of the Apex Bank, Olayemi Gadoso, says the decision to increase the interest rate is to safeguard price stability gains achieved.
The MPC noted the continued growth in money supply, recognizing the need to curtail excess liquidity in the system as well as address foreign exchange demand pressures.
Recall that at previous meetings, the MPC had maintained a tight monetary stand, focusing on raising the monetary policy rate to combat inflation, which has remained a pressing issue in the country. Reports has it that domestic economy in Nigeria witnessed a surge in inflation to 29.9% in January 2024, from 28.9% in December 2023. Despite weak economic growth, the depreciation of the naira against major currencies, driven by the persistent shortage of foreign currency liquidity, led to increase in price of commodity in the market. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria will be discussing the outcome of the CBN Monetary Committee meeting shortly.
All right. Thank you very much, Joseph, for the background report. And we have a full house, very powerful guests this morning. And Demola and I can only just relax that we're in safe hands.
And listen to them
and
speak.
listen, to these technical
explanation.
issues from the experts. And let me begin with the introductions. And we have here in the studio Dr. Ladi Balakefi, Acting Director, Monetary Policy Department, who is also of the Central Bank, who is also a member of the National Institute, MNI. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us.
Thank you.
And also here with us, we have Professor Ken Ife, economic policy expert. And it's a good thing to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Kimana.
Also, we have in the studio a financial analyst, expert, Yushau Aliyu. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right. And as usual, also, we have Ni Kinshiju, Chairman, Independent Media Initiative, and Financial and Investment Analyst. You're welcome.
My pleasure, as always. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's kickstart the discussion with the Acting Director, Monetary Policy Department, to give us, a detailed explanation of what happened, what the CBN governor rolled out yesterday.
Okay. Good morning, and thank you for the question, and also thank you for having the Central Bank here in your show. So, the decisions that were taken yesterday by the Monetary Policy Committee was a milestone decision. It was a hard decision because, of course, we know the current situation in the country, but the message we want to send out is that the decisions that were taken absolutely for the benefit of the economy. I think the last time we were here, you said we should talk in layman's language. So I don't want to start telling you about equilibrium.
In fact, that's exactly
Okay.
what I want.
However, so let me just give you a
People can
quick
understand.
rollout of from last MPC to date. I believe that you all know that the inflation rate decelerated from the last MPC from 34.19%. It decelerated to 32.15%. And also, even the real sector, which is where you measure the GDP in the economy. Okay, so that went up, the real GDP went up from 2.98% to 3.19%. So that means there's something good happening in the economy, despite the tightening stance of the central bank. And also, okay, this is maybe not our doing. We will say kudos to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Production, crude oil production has gone up from 1.28 million barrels per day to 1.35 million barrels per day.
Mm-hmm.
However, the price of crude oil in the international market has come down.
Yeah.
So despite the fact that we're producing more, it's declining. So I'm taking you to our revenue, the country's revenue. It's from crude oil that we get a chunk of our revenue. The largest proportion of our revenue comes from the crude oil.
Yeah.
And also our foreign exchange component. So that foreign exchange component, which is in our reserves, it is very essential for us to have at least 18 months cover of import. Because we import raw materials, we import food. We are largely an import-dependent economy. So we need that foreign exchange to safeguard the economy. So our decisions are tied towards bringing stability in the foreign exchange market. One, reducing excess liquidity in the system so that too much money will not be chasing too few goods. And also, I know your next question will be, how will it impact on the market, on the common people in the market?
Yes.
So, of course, food inflation came down. Food inflation has decelerated. The deceleration in the inflation to 32.15% was largely due to the decline in food prices.
When you say food inflation came down,
yes,
what do you mean? Because to the ordinary man on the street there, the food prices are still on the increase.
No.
I mean, that is, from our own investigation.
Okay.
But the power to purchase is not there for them. So can you just explain further?
No, food prices have gone down. I'm sure that if you do a wide market survey.
Marginally. Yes, marginally.
I go to the market also, madam. I also go to the market.
Maybe the market where you go.
Who say to? Who say market? Utako market. I go to Utako market.
I still bought a basket of tomatoes. You know, some are still selling at 7,000 naira, unlike before, when you could get a basket of tomato, the small basket of tomato, for 2,500. So yes, it's coming down from before. It's definitely coming down. I quite agree with you.
Thank you for acknowledging that it is coming down.
Of course, it's coming down. I mean, we are getting some breather.
Yes.
At least some of us now can purchase half basket of tomatoes.
Okay, so madam, quickly, let me interrupt you there. I think tomato is seasonal. Tomato doesn't grow well in raining season. So when we are in the raining season. So don't expect the price of tomatoes to be picked.
Not just only tomato.
No, but she used tomato as an example. So I'm telling you, the tomato, this is not the season for it. Because tomato doesn't grow well in raining season. It is in the dry season that it grows well. And even despite that, the price still came down. So what we're looking for, I want you to look at where we're coming from. Well, we were coming from when the economy was flooded with too much liquidity, the ways and means. I think all Nigerians now know what ways and means is. That we had too much, up to 33 trillion was out there and with nothing to back it. Central bank policy, the theory of central banking, you don't print money in the economy. So what this new management met was a lot of liquidity in the system, and with the exchange rate, the reserve was not commensurate also. Low reserves, excess liquidity in the system, they met a big challenge. However, within 1 year, they've been able to increase the accretion to external reserves from 28 or 26 billion dollars to 39 billion dollars as at September 19th. And currently, there is relative stability in the foreign exchange market. It's hovering between 1,500 to 1,600. What manufacturers want in order to price their goods well is stability. And we have provided that stability.
So what exactly is driving, this progress?
The accretion.
Is it the monetary policy?
Yes, it's the monetary policy. Absolutely, the monetary policy. Because when you increase rates, so let me explain what we did yesterday.
Okay.
So what the committee did yesterday was to increase the CRR and to increase the MPR. So once you do that, we're competing for capital inflows into the economy with other countries. We have Ghana, we have Egypt, we have South Africa. They are all emerging market economies. And then we have some also in Southeast Asia, like Malaysia, Indonesia. We're all in the same bracket, emerging market and developing economies. We're all competing for inflows from the developed economies, such as the US, the Bangkok, and Europe. So now in the US, they've cut interest rates for the first time. Mind you, or even developed countries hiked their interest rates for years because there was global recession arising from COVID. So after COVID subsided, central banks, in order to normalize their economies, started hiking rates to create employment. During COVID, there was supply chain disruptions and so on. So they started hiking. Initially, they cut interest rates until they felt they had reached a position when they should hike because of what was happening in their economy due to inflation.
That's why I'm going to ask you, before we even, escalate the conversation, I was just going through, because from the last, committee meeting to now, the basis points of increase, it's gradually declining, and I'm wondering from maybe 150, 100 basis points. This last one was just 50 basis points. Are we getting to a place of stability, maybe a place where the basis points will now?
Well, you see, two last MPCs. We've been hiking from February to date. So we've had 4 MPCs, and we hiked. And now we are seeing the results. So that's why we did not. That's why we kept it at 50. But at the same time, we want to attract inflows, which was what I was explaining to you. And we are competing with other countries. So that was why we also had to hike, so that our interest rate, mind you, we're operating negative real interest rate now. So, but despite that, we're still able to attract FPIs. And the reason why we're able to attract FPIs is because international investors now have confidence in the Central Bank of Nigeria. They have confidence in the team, that this team are trustworthy and they are principled, and we have institutional reforms also ongoing in the bank to strengthen the governance structure, to strengthen the way we do our conduct our policies. And we are being rated by sovereign agencies, we're being rated by international investors. So they have confidence in the bank now. Now that they have confidence in the bank, this will attract FPIs.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Dr.
let's
Ladi.
just
let's
bring
escalate
in,
the conversation.
okay,
Yes.
Professor Ken, this is the fifth in 1 year that the basis points will be increased. What does it tell you about the nation's economy?
Well, my view is my view, not necessarily represent the view of everybody. I mean, last week when I looked into this matter, I just couldn't find the basis for the optimism that the rate should go down, not even to stay stable. I couldn't see the reason, because the fundamentals that would drive CBN to begin to bring this down, I couldn't see that they were all met. But CBN has actually done something remarkable. Because if I'm a foreign investor in Nigeria, especially portfolio investment, not direct investment, because direct investment is more hostage to structural factors, I would be more interested in investing in Nigeria, because it doesn't matter where the forex rate is. What the investor is looking for is a stable forex regime and closure of the competing rates. That is the official and the, that's what they want, removing the arbitrage opportunity. Okay. Then they can plan. They will stay at 1,500 naira per dollar, but they can plan to invest for the next 6 months. And if it stays steady, they would, instead of cashing their money after 6 months, they will allow it to continue. That is what plays in their mind. Okay. Second thing that plays in their mind is that there's a conscious effort by central bank to narrow the gap of between inflation and monetary policy rate, because that is what they call the real interest rate. According to ECOWAS, one of the 10 macroeconomic convergence criteria is you shouldn't have negative real interest rate. We are at minus 11. What inflation is and where it is. So there should be a tendency for central bank to continue to move it up, while fighting to bring down inflation, so that you move into a real positive interest rate environment.
To move up the monetary?
No, that's the tendency, for them to be moving up the monetary policy rate while fighting to bring down the inflation rate, so that you can close that gap of 11%. The more you do that, the more you signal foreign portfolio investors to come and put their money. So you are satisfying the second condition for them to bring their money. You have zeroed the spread between official rate and back market rate. Let that money stay steady, and at the same time you are building the reserves to give more confidence that this economy will not collapse if there is a problem on the foreign imports. So all these things will work together to encourage that inflow. But on the other hand, domestically, you are going to be saying, but that's affecting our industry. Remember that COVID, insecurity, all of these things made government borrow so much money, and they had to turn to CBN to print money for them. That is what you call the ways and means. So every central bank prints money, but there are conditions under which they will print money. One of those conditions is that, there's huge increase in productivity. We are producing a lot more. Print a bit more money to match the increase in productivity. Some people are bringing in $30 billion into our economy. Central bank grabs that $30 billion, but you have to give them some naira to enable them to do what they want to do with that investment. They print a bit more money. So, but none of these conditions were the real reason for pouring in over 30-something trillion into our economy. So you have to suck this away, because what you have done is that you've created far more money, even when the goods being produced are even declining. So you have that terrible problem that they have to deal with. And the instrument that they use, they're only using 3 of the instruments, which is a MPR rate, cash reserve ratio, and the liquidity ratio. They also have more instruments in the armory. They have open market operation, they have treasury, they have all that is loan to deposit ratio, they have other instruments, but these are the ones that they decide on every meeting. So
why?
The reason is because they have to suck out that liquidity.
Okay.
As long as it is still there, the people and there are other more complex things. Let me tell you, why would you expect, it's unreasonable to expect central bank at this very moment to just drop rate because American Fed. Do you know how many years American Fed has kept up high rates? All these economies have kept it up for years and now deciding to. And they have good reasons to want to do that. But none of these countries you are mentioning, none of these peer nations of Nigeria have half of the structural problem that we have in Nigeria. We have insecurity. We have power issue. We are raising 100% or more. We have you have excess liquidity in the system. You have, name it. We have more than 7
Fuel
different
problem.
structural factors holding us to the ground. And then you're expecting them to do what? They have a job to do. They are doing what they can with the monetary policies that are at their disposal. But fiscal policy is where everybody will say, do this, do, and they have actually come in. But the thing is, these fantastic policies, if we have time, we'll talk about that. But are they going to implement them? But they've got big response. And if we find time, we'll explore those responses. That will now help and give breathing space to central bank in all of this. But I tell you one thing that really struck me yesterday. Finally, the central bank governor put his finger on what the real problem is in Nigeria. And there are 3 of them that he put his finger on. One, the correlation between FARC release and the turbulence in the forex market. We've been saying this, he's put his finger on it. Secondly, he said that the fundamentals must be right. Otherwise, we just play into the gallery. And that is correct, because Nigeria has an import-dependent economy. It was by design that you have to, we have a brutal and repressive economic relations with the global north, especially Europe. And that has not changed. Every decade, all technology, everything about all countries change. Everything changes, but that brutal economic relationship and repressive has refused to change for 800 years. He has put his finger on that. If you have an import-dependent economy, it is going to constrain your monetary policy. It means that price stability is hostage to the political economy of that import dependence.
Okay.
That is the thing we need to find another way to explore.
Professor Kenife, thank you. Each time we discuss these issues, I'm like, okay, last time, Dr. Ladibala was here, we're on the same routes, explaining the same, you were also here, I want to believe, and all that. So we keep explaining until, the viewer, Nigerians, get to understand the correlation between this, and
until we
yes.
also begin to see the reality,
that's
the fruition of all these efforts.
I'm saying, So, Yushao, I've been going through, since last night when the CBN came up. I've been, trying to read the views of financial experts. And I observe that, really, not all of you are agreed. Some have different opinion. Others think that, okay, since we have gotten, for the 2 consecutive months, core inflation, has come down. So CBN should also, either hold or reduce, the rate and all that. But there are also those.
It's not the core inflation that came down.
Sorry, the headline inflation. The headline inflation, not the core inflation. Thank you. No, the headline inflation and all that. And, people like Professor Uchiwaleke, seems to be aligning with the CBN. But what are your thoughts? Why is it that financial experts and the CBN are not in agreement as to what to do to, address the issue of inflation and, of course, excess, liquidity?
The central bank is an authority to guide the monetary functions of an economy. But the central bank is not an operator in that economy. Where we are getting it wrong is when we assume that the central bank, if it is consistent in hiking MPR, that is a solution to the economy. You may be right, but let me tell you, in a football match, you have 11 players that form a team. The MPC are 11 players. So disagreeing with hiking it or not is the function of MPC professionally. You have to decide, and that is why they are voting to arrive at. So 2 options are there, either to debate and vote or to take unanimous. Whatever you take, you have a reason for doing that, and you cannot be whole as an antagonist to the system. That has to be clear. For inflation, quite okay factors responsible for inflation can be directly associated with monetary policy, fiscal policy, or other decisions, either by consumers or policymakers. Emerging economies, as rightly pointed out by Dr. Ladi, emerging economies, Ghana, Nigeria, Singapore, all these economies, they have more stable economic system without backlog of intrusions. I'm happy. Quite okay inflation, if you want to understand whether inflation is down or not, you don't take bundles of goods. The survey conducted by the Bureau of Statistics is over 740 items, goods and services. If you come to services, transport is one. What is the air fare, Abuja, Lagos, last month? What is it today? If you take that one, you will say it has not come down. If you mention tomatoes, the price of tomatoes has come down. I bought yesterday. It's not the same quantity. It's not the same price. So definitely that -2 will not reflect what we are expecting to see reduction probably of thousands of naira from a basket so that your purchasing power can be improved. But hypothetically, Dr. Ken has pointed out where the problem in this, and that has been my stand. Not monetary, there are structural problems. And the CBN governor pointed out the 3 mentioned by Professor. And until this critical is being attended by other authorities in charge, you cannot have the prosperity you are looking for. Inflation, headline or core, is guided by the survey of its professional statisticians who are trained to conduct survey. A bag of rice last July was 90,000 naira on average. Today is 95. If you take that one also, you are wrong, because this is a statistical inference that you take, and then you take the average and you now forecast so that you make amendment in whatever policy measure you are putting on. But yeah,
you said something that is quite striking.
Yeah.
You said the issues are not monetary; they're quite structural. Structural.
Yeah.
And Professor Ike also, Ken Ife also referenced that earlier on, and the CBN, governor referenced that. So
yeah.
why are we heavy on the monetary?
That is my concern.
Yes.
And let me tell you, quite okay is a composition of professional Dr. Ladi is here. But sometime, all of us, we want to be more statisticians. Do you understand? To dwell on figures and avoid reality. But the striking balance is here. There is CBN, who is an authority on monetary. There is Dangote, who is an enterprise. And if anybody from any angle of the world will complain about the MPR, it's the operators. And if they are comfortable, definitely the system is more comfortable. And if they are not comfortable, definitely consumers will pay the burden.
So are the operators comfortable with?
They are not comfortable.
They are
because,
not comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's bring in Nigi now. Because from what he said we dwell more on the figures and we seem to abandon the reality. And that is exactly what the common man on the street is saying. He said, we are just talking about figures and inflation rate and all that. Would that bring more money into my pocket? Would that put more food on my table? That is the question. And how does it affect the small and medium scale, enterprises with this latest development?
Well, I think the fact of having economic managers, it's the reality that there should be specialized, professional, trained people who understand the interactions of factors, economic factors in the space. So that we don't also confuse issues. We know that the economic universe is made up of two fundamental pivots, the monetary and the fiscal.
Okay.
And they are supposed to work together. You cannot take one and leave the other. So if our border is structural deficiencies in the economy, and we think we need to address just that, without addressing the issues and the challenges in the monetary, will still come flat, So the idea is to create a balance and a convergence between the fiscal and the monetary. And in the case of the CBN is by law and statute responsible for monetary policy, and that's why it is policy. But the ideal is to find a situation where the monetary policy authority are working in tandem with the fiscal authority so that there is a convergence at a point in time. I think sincerely that what the CBN is doing, and that had been my own position, the CBN is relating to the tasks and challenges it has discovered in the economic space. We cannot now say, because that there is a structural issue that mainly the fiscal authorities, would have to attend to. The CBN should not attend to this. I was one of those, when I first saw the inflation rates, the figures, I was one of those that said, okay, at 32.15 relative to 34.19, we should be hopeful that at least at the worst case, the rate will be held. At the worst case, it will not reduce, it will not increase, but it will be held. But that was before we saw the details. The immediate details we saw was that it was the food inflation that reduced. And it was the principal driver of that reduction in the headline inflation. But when the food inflation reduces, is it enough, to also reduce or hold? Okay. The bigger headache actually is the core inflation. That's the bigger headache. Because that is the day-to-day, factors in the economy that we relate with: transportation, services, medical, education, and all that, cost of all those ones. So, and we have seen how that had persistently increased, even when the headline inflation, true food inflation rates were reducing. So in June, core inflation month to month was 2.06 month to month. By July, it went up to 2.16. Food inflation reduced that same July, but it went to 2.16. August, food inflation reduced to 37, but core went to 2.27. So, of course, when you see this, when the CBN sees this kind of reality, the idea would still be that so much money, basic economy here, is still pursuing lesser factors, goods and services. So the idea would still be that, can we start taming, or can we continue to tame or sterilize the liquidity in the system? And that liquidity is actually obvious, because CBN data also shows that historically, currency in circulation is at historical high, at 4.05 trillion in July. It had never been like that. It's that high. And money outside the banking system, it's more than 3.7 trillion. these are huge headaches that any central banker will know that there's a near crisis situation, because you cannot, there's no way you can control the essence and functionality of liquidity when you have this surge in the system. So the idea will still be, can we reduce, how do we suck this out? And that reflects, I'm more impressed with the increase in the CRR, the credit reserve ratio, from 45 to 50%. The whole idea is that there's money somewhere. One, they are not being economically applied. Some people are virtually trading in currency.
So, sorry, but do you also feel what Mr. Aisha Aliyu is saying? The people for whom you're trying to, apply the interest rate to, are not, they're not feeling it. They're saying, look,
the impact.
Yes,
there's also
hold on. He's also saying, look, the issue is not with applying monetary tool. The issue is structural. And then we are still using monetary tool to address an issue that is structural. It wouldn't work. That is why inflation has not still come down.
No, but it is, the other issue is this. The CBN and the federal government, as it were, can decide to embrace what is known as populism. That is also an economic position, and say, because everybody is crying, everybody is shouting, can we now, of course, come to that level and let us start easing what we call the structural issue? For instance, importing food into the country, the current, the policy that is there to take off. Without free of levy, free of whatever. Yes. That's a classical populism policy. But it has, going forward, it has its own ricochet effect. It has its own multiplier effect.
I guess that is what happened in the past administration.
Yes.
And that is why we are feeling
the
effect now.
So you see, where you do not, because of the need to quickly appeal and assuage, some of the constraints of the people, as it were, and then forget what you are supposed to do. I have talked about the fact that this data that is in that the CBN has access to is indicating the fact that if the appropriate thing is not done now, we go into a bigger crisis. The average entrepreneur, and I'm an entrepreneur, will tell you that this is not fair, that the increasing the monetary policy rate is not fair. At least the normal argument is that when headline inflation rates reduces, there should be a reduction in NPR.
That's common sense.
No, but again, you now also look at the different elements that make up those rates. If those elements are not properly aligned, and you now go on, for instance, to reduce the NPR rate, it means that you are also now going to increase the surge in that liquidity, because it makes the cost of credit lesser, and more people, more entrepreneurs have what you call a race to the top. Everybody is approaching the banks to collect more money. You collect more money, you still have the same bigger problem of more money now, of course, if I'm pursuing lesser goods and services, and we come back, it becomes a round robin thing. We come back to that same point.
So which are the elements now that you think that needs to be properly aligned before we come back to this here?
The monetary policy, the monetary policy authority, I believe with what is going on now, there's a relationship between the two, the monetary policy authority and the fiscal authority. I believe there's a relationship between the two. But as much as possible, I canvass that, yes, there's a need to assuage the needs of everybody, every Nigerian. We should not go the populist way. We are where we are today now because of populism. So if we need to address the the deficit, more or less, in the system, we need to be practical about it. There is no way, we don't have an economically productive, environment, as it were. And if you don't have that, and you want to drive the populist route, you get into bigger crisis. So I think the need is for Nigerians to understand where we are coming from, where we are now, and where we want to go to. Structurally, we have people, strong people, educated people. Those who are not even educated are well-driven. We have well-driven people. That's a major place for Nigerians to be. But how do we now, of course, initiate policies that would have to be clear-headed and, of course, strong on economic fundamentals?
Okay, thank you very much, Ni Ageshiju there. We shouldn't go the populist way, so which means that we have to tighten our belts.
They shouldn't go our way.
We have to still tighten our belts now.
They shouldn't go our way.
Like somebody said, it said the hardship that you postponed today, you will meet tomorrow. So why not just face the hardship now? Then you are sure that tomorrow.
Why not cuckoo? Just
the way the man was saying it, So we hope that tomorrow we will reap the fruit of all this hardship. But let bring in Dr. Bala into the conversation again. The CBN governor said something yesterday. He said that the CBN governor said the banking sector in Nigeria is safe now and on a sound footing. So what they're saying now is that banks should relax. There is so much recapitalization going on now. Yeah. Is that a hope that people should, key into all this, because they are calling on people to come and, buy shares, buy these. So what is the implication of that?
Okay, so this new management, they are big on compliance and good governance. So, and since they came, they have revisited the governance structure, and there is even plans to set up a compliance department. We currently have a compliance expert.
Okay.
Because, things derailed a bit in the last few years. So, and then the recapitalization. The president said he wants to build an economy of up to $1 trillion.
Yes.
So in order to do that, you need big, strong banks to be able to do that, well capitalized. And also the economy would have to grow by like 9%, right? I think. So for us, the banking sector is a critical sector. Their job is intermediation. You give loans, you make money from giving out loans. Some countries are market-based economies, some are bank-based. Nigeria is largely a bank-based economy. Bank-based means entrepreneurs like him depend more on banks to get capital for their firms rather than going to the capital market. Bank-based is good because even small people can just go to the bank. The banks, they have branches in all nooks and corners of villages. There's the CBN policy that says banks must have branches everywhere. So there's accessibility. So we have that now on ground. Now the governance structure also is being instilled that you must comply to the rules and regulations. And then currently our ratios, the banking sector ratios, the capital adequacy ratio, the liquidity ratios, the returns on equity ratios, they are all good. Okay. They are all looking good. There's the Basel computation, which your ratios must align with. And ours, we are doing well. We're not below any one of the ratios, as in, so we're doing well. And with the capitalization, they will have more liquidity to supply credit to businesses. And if they do that, so we need you to look at the central bank as whatever policy we make is holistic.
Okay.
It's a holistic process. If we make the banks strong, they recapitalize, they will have more funds to take care of businesses rather than going after federal government allocations, which is FAC. Rather than waiting for federal government deposits or state government deposits or local government deposits, they will have enough liquidity in their system. Remember, Soludo did that in 2005. And when he did that, that was when our banks became global. They were able, we now have branches all over Africa and even beyond.
Yeah.
And our banks are even able to go and take over banks in other countries. There is hardly a country in Africa that you go now that you will not see a Nigerian bank. So we want that continuance. We don't want a break in that structure.
Okay.
So if the banks are big, strong, with
And reliable.
sound and reliable, with sound indicators, they will be able to address credit to small businesses, big businesses, medium businesses, rather than going after government deposits.
At higher interest rates.
At high interest rates, which will now distort
incur
the
debts.
economy, and also it will make them remove their eyes from going to buy dollars. That is scarce. So if you're talking about, I like what he said about if we want to go the populist route. If you go the populist route, you will lose out on your core focus. And now, this new management, they made a pronouncement when they took over that they are going to be focused on price stability, which is the primary mandate of every central bank globally.
Fine. Dr. Ladebola, thank you. Now that you have, led us into what the core focus of the CBN is, and I'm sure that you will be concerned about how to also tackle the core inflation, driven by the high costs from energy and all that. And I'm wondering if you increase the CRR and then you maintained the liquidity ratio, what are you thinking? How do you hope to drive the core inflation and address inflation from that end?
Okay,
and
so
stabilize the prices.
So as we said earlier, some things are beyond the central bank. And when we talk about the fiscal authorities, by the way, this includes trade and investment, it includes budget and planning, it includes the Ministry of Finance. So we shouldn't put all when we say fiscal authorities, let us not look at finance only. So we have these issues on ground. Some things are beyond the Central Bank of Nigeria. We're not responsible for security, and there's insecurity in the country. There are some structural issues which Professor had mentioned earlier that must be addressed. So this transportation, the PMS, that subsidy removal and also the pump price has increased.
Yeah.
It will have a pass-through effect on inflation. Transportation, the market woman will tell you, before PMS, it used to cost me 10 naira to take my goods from the village to Utako market. But now, with the increase in pump price, the taxi drivers will increase because it's a circle.
Yes, it's a chain reaction.
It's a reaction. So what we can do, we work based on data that is available to us. And the data that's available to us says that there's a lot of money out there in circulation. Currency in circulation currently is over 4 trillion. How do you get this money back? That's where CRR is responsible. We want to put this money in the central bank. If we put this money back in the central bank, Madam, what you're wearing is imported. What I'm wearing is imported.
No, this is not imported. No, please. This is Ankara.
Ankara.
This is Nigerian Ankara.
No.
So, no, please.
Nigeria.
No,
we wear Ankara, but the Ankara is imported.
No,
it's our traditional wear, but it is imported. When we finish this program, I will look at the base of your wrapper, and you will see.
Yes, I will tell you. I can show you.
So let's go back to what we were talking about.
Yes,
we wear imported goods. We are an import-dependent economy, so we need that foreign exchange to support, to boost in investors' confidence. So we need that in our reserves. But we don't need our banks that should be giving money to small businesses, big businesses, using that money to buy dollars, going after government, and again, there's a disconnect. If banks collect deposits from state government and also from federal government, that money is for welfare. It's for welfare of the state, not to sit in the bank's coffer while they are getting interest on it. It is for government to use to provide social welfare amenities too. So in fact, we're helping the government to ensure that these banks are not in a position to collect this money to keep for interest. We want them to come up with, if you go to the UK, you will see banks coming up with so many products for that we yield interest for them. So many products. They don't go after federal allocation. So this core inflation, it has to come down. And the message that I want to state here is that the central bank will do whatever it takes to bring down inflation. Headline and core inflation. Sorry, madam, let me land.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, when this inflation comes down, you will see the benefit overall in the economy. And indeed, I want to align with him. We are collaborating with the fiscal authorities. That's why you see they are importing food. One portion has come, another portion will come, batch will come to address the supply side. However, we don't even want that importation to be too much. We want for us in Nigeria to be able to produce what we eat. How will we do that? These banks, the money you have, give it to farmers. They will say it's high risk. Find a way. You have analysts. You have a department in your bank where you will have researchers that will conduct studies for you on how you can navigate it.
Okay,
You know?
Dr.
So
Bala,
we
thank
need to
you.
have all this together. The handshake, trade and investment, also ministry, they have national export. They have the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. They have the NIPC, Nigerian Investment Promotion. All of these, we have to all come together and say, okay, which market are we going to target abroad? We need to earn foreign exchange from exports.
But how do you come together? Because
we do come together. We do come together. Like the Ministry of Finance is the agency that we work critically with. However, now we've always worked with other agencies, but we're increasing it now. We attend the meetings of investment promotion and protection agreements. We attend bilateral cooperation meetings. And we are now writing, as advisors to the government, we write position papers. We even conduct the research for them because Central Bank of Nigeria is filled with capacity of well-grounded economists in the Economic Policy Directorate. And we're sending out studies to them. We're drawing their attention to what could go wrong if they don't go this way and that way. So there is actually a handshake, and we are going to strengthen it. But please, everything is not dependent on the Central Bank of Nigeria. There are structural issues which other agencies must handle, which other ministries must handle. But the key word here is collaboration.
We do understand that. We do understand that. And I just wanted to say before you come in, that one thing that gladdens me is the fact that you said that foreign reserve is growing.
It is growing.
And that's a big one, because the last time we came, our foreign reserve was depleted. And everybody was...
Anyway, that's good news.
Yes.
But I would want to bring in Professor Kenife, but that will be after the break, because the director is calling for a break now. So stay with us. We'll be back after the break.
The federal government of Nigeria wants vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables, and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipment will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
I think Amaka should just move out of the house. Yes.
No. Standing out of the house is not the right thing to do.
Oh, there you go again with your sentimental family stuff.
Baby, if our aim is to stop this affair, it is best achieved under our roof.
You do something terrible and you'll be acting innocent.
What are you going on about?
Don't ask me that question again. You couldn't even control yourself in the presence of our visitors.
What are you accusing me of, woman?
My son, I don't know how serious you are with my daughter, but there's something that needs to be done urgently before you move any further.
Anything, just anything, just say it. I'm ready to do anything.
There is a spell that needs to be removed.
A spell?
Family forever. The story of our lives.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
You have to move from the point where you protect and defend your religion to a point where you also recognize the rights of the other person, of the other religion, and protect it. So if I am protecting my own territory and my own people and trying to emphasize their rights and protect their rights, I should also be thinking about how to protect the rights of the others.
Both Islam and Christianity recognize and defer to God, and both recognize the temporariness of the life of this world, and that ultimately we all go back to God for the day of reckoning, when everybody will render an account of his life on this temporary abode.
The race to qualify for the biggest football competition in Africa is on. The 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. 48 teams in 12 groups, with only the top 2 teams in each group qualifying for the African Cup of Nations in 2025 in Morocco. Don't miss the action, suspense and unrivaled coverage on AfroSport TV and its affiliates partners across Nigeria, starting from September 2024 to November 2024. AfroSport, your freedom of sport.
This Sunday, Roma. Venezia. Roma versus Venezia. Live on Sporty TV.
SportyBet sponsors coverage of the Italian Serie A.
All right, welcome back to the program. It's Good Morning Nigeria. We thank you for joining us. And before we went on that break, Professor Ken, if Demola, you wanted to...
Yes, I was going to ask because, from all that, we're talking about the CBN MPC resolution. And I was going to ask the fact that, like the CBN said, that they are tightening up all these rates in order to safeguard the gains that have been achieved so far. From your own perspective, should it be the case right now?
It has to be. Claire said, why do we talk about inflation if the whole thing is hostage to structural factors? And my response to that is, we have to talk about inflation, because inflation is one macroeconomic objective that destroys the lives of people, that sends tens of millions of people instantly into abject poverty.
No, I said why?
No, wait a minute. I'm coming to that.
Sorry, please. I said why do we use monetary tools to address inflation if the problem is
coming to that. I'm coming to that. The ramification of inflation is tens of millions of people overnight are dispossessed, poor, deprived, multidimensional poverty. They can't fence for it. Even those who earn money can't buy anything with the money. And that same inflation is a core mandate to somebody, and that's central bank. Because it is their core mandate, they have to continue to be on the witness stand in the court of public opinion. So they can't escape that. But just bear in mind that there are other things that are at play. We have mentioned a lot of those. But let me analyze those two. Actually, see, when you come to inflation, inflation is price. But so is monetary policy rate price. So is forex is price. There are many price things. So in every issue of price, there must be demand and supply. So we have to take both perspectives. And that's why the governor keeps saying, let's talk about the supply of this forex. Let's talk about the supply of this forex. But if you look at the other side of it, there are two people that are hostage to the impact of inflation. The common man you keep to pushing about, and the corporate community. Now, the common man, fiscal policy has come to the rescue because there's very little the CBN can do. Simple policy has come to say, okay, what are the things that they are buying? Okay, they are buying health, education, food, utility bills. Remove VAT on those. They've done that. Are they going to implement it? So they've actually come to say, they now come to businesses. What is it? Multiple taxation is killing all the businesses. Government has 60 taxes. Only 6 of them gives them 96% of their income. Why are you killing all these businesses with this tax? They've actually come to this now. Are they going to implement it? And there are many, many new measures being rolled out by the fiscal authorities. They've even come to these incentives that they give, what do you call it, tax holidays.
Yes.
Almost the amount that government gets as revenue is given away as tax holidays. They say, no, don't do it that way. Choose selected sectors. Agriculture, they've done selected sectors that are eligible for the...
Absolutely.
They have done... I've looked at the report, I've debated it here.
Yes.
So there are things coming in. Are they going to implement those? When you implement them, if the monetary authorities will have more support. And that is being the pressure. That's where it should go. And in all other ramifications, we will have to do as much as we can on arresting some of this sector. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy because all these countries that we are looking at, they've done that. Ghana, we can't be compared to those people. They don't have half of this. Insecurity in Nigeria is pervasive. It's in all geopolitical zones, and they have different characters. For some, it's separatism. For some, it's Boko Haram. For some, it's banditry. It's all the different kinds. And they all are hydra-headed. And they are not going down as fast as we would require to help us arrest the other thing. Dollarization of our economy. I live in the UK 43 years. And I go there with dollars, and then I can trade with it. But here, as soon as you disburse FAC, it enters into dollar. What the hell is going on? There are tea shops that are selling in dollars. There's some hotels that you go, they're quoting dollars. We allowed our economy to be hostage to dollarization. And what do? Central bank has taken the oxygen away from dollarization. Yeah, take the dollar, but you're not going to make money from it because they moved their arbitrage. And central bank has even attacked the commercial banks and said, look, on your dollar reserves, close the net open position to 20%. So get rid of all the dollars that you have in excess of 20%. But they didn't say bring it to central bank. So the guys have to give it to their, whatever they are working with, all their agencies. So you can tell how far central bank is going to make sure that they can plug some of these holes. Diaspora remittance, you've seen that is inching up, is going up, is going up. Fiscal authorities should come in and say, okay, why are we doing this $500 million? No, go for 50 billion diaspora remittance bond. But consult them to know where they are interested in so that they can take, have a big program. You can get 50 billion. If you can get 26 billion with no sweat, give them something that they want, which is bring projects that make sense and then show that you can deliver. Not just give me money to spend. No.
In all of this now, what can we do to help this implementation? Because,
no, but the thing is that We are trying to unlock liquidity from various sources. We have now a shift from, you see, we haven't even talked about debt. The only debt we are talking about is the debt from Ministry of Finance, which is Ways and Means. How about the original debt that is over 100 trillion? And those debts are, you are still borrowing.
131.
Foreign
debt.
debt is 100 and it has grown by
like
131.92%.
Yeah. So the thing is that those debts are still coming in because you are borrowing.
Our foreign debt has grown. I'll give you the figure before we
go. So we're still borrowing. I'm still borrowing. And the fact of the matter is that debt-based financing, which is borrow them, has to shift to asset-based financing. And which is where you are now borrowing based on your own assets. And then those who buy it, go and deal with it. Give me the money. You know, you are seeing those in terms of securitization of future crude revenue. You've seen Saudi Arabia do their own. They didn't borrow 25 billion. They said, okay, tell me the value of Saudi Aramco. It was valued in 2019 at 1.5 trillion. Give me 5%. They went to the capital market. And then after 2 years, corporate governance, all of that came, they increased to 2.3 trillion. And they said, do that to NNPC. I've argued on this. Do that to NNPC. Just go and get 5-10%. You will find out that if you stake out, you could get $50 billion from the 10-15% of their assets. Then people will come in. You have all this lack of transparency you are talking about. It will vanish. LNG, the way the LNG is operated, will now see the light in the end of the tunnel. The same militants will buy share, oil companies will buy share. They will all be, but it's a small share though, but that will transform the economy. And then the CBN can rest a little bit. Look at what happened. Over 3 years, NNPC was sending all the crude to foreign refiners. $3 billion that the CBN was supposed to be getting was not getting for 3 years. But now, CBN is come back into that. But let's do the other one. Get that octopus, get it out there. Only 10%, you will see how much. Okay, Dangote has brought oil, his PMS, and hopeful that it could get us up to 40% reprieve on Forex. CBN governor says it might actually be up to 15%. But that is big news because that will bring more Forex into the arena to be able to stabilize and then begin to bring down the actual rate from 156 whatever, bring it down. So one is to normalize it, which we have done, align it, which we have done, remove arbitrage. The second thing is that can we have sufficient Forex supply so that we can start pushing down that rate to 1,000 to below 1,000. That's the next thing that CBN is going to do. But of course, CBN should increase the cash reserve ratio because the banks are capitalizing. And so more trillions are coming in. CBN needs some of that. Because when you take if you take 1 naira now and deposit in the bank, CBN takes 50 kobo and sanitizes it. Yeah? So more money is going to come. So they're going to get some of that. In the same way as they're sucking them. So, you know, let's let the music play.
Well, thank you so much, Prof. Actually, I was going to, the question I was going to ask you, you have already answered. That is the impact of this Dangote, refinery on the economy.
If
okay, you want to add? Okay.
Yes, this Dangote, I think we should encourage more of such businesses.
Yeah.
Because, okay, people say he's going to sell in Naira, he's going to buy crude in Naira. However, from our point of view as the central bank, our import bill from refined product has reduced significantly. It has reduced because of Dangote's refinery.
Yeah.
So if our import bill, and that will help us with our reserves, because in the past, the things that were taken off the chunk from our reserves was this importation of
crude oil,
of refined
oil
products.
Yeah.
But if Dangote is refining in Nigeria,
so
then that importation of refined crude, the people that are coming to the CBN to take money from our reserves to import crude, they have reduced. So you see, that's a plus for us, number one. Number two, we know he's in a free trade zone. So, but however, he's not only going to supply domestically, which will bring down the cost of transportation. Transportation is one of the drivers of core inflation.
Okay.
Yes. So if he's able to produce refined crude in Nigeria, then there will be more availability. So the pump price is expected to come down.
Okay.
As against
what we have now.
Yes. So that's another aspect. And then on the other side again, if he's able to export, even if what he's exporting will not come to the CBN, to our reserves, but it will reduce the pressure, the demand pressure on our reserves.
Okay. So
because people, he can take his money to other official outlets.
Okay.
Where manufacturers can go and get that resources from. So that will reduce. So we want NMPC and the government to support Dangote.
To support Dangote.
Yes.
So in the next few months now, we should be reaping the benefits of this Dangote refinery. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. That's a cheering news.
And in fact, our collaboration is not only with the fiscal authorities. We're also looking at any big business that will reduce the pressure on our foreign exchange, that will ease the pressure of the common man on the street, because one of our core functions as central bank is also to promote economic growth. And this cost of transportation it has an impact on core inflation.
It does.
So
it does.
we like what Dangote refinery is going to bring into the economy.
So there should be more collaboration between them.
We are watching, we are monitoring, and we are talking with him.
But somebody said that we should ask, is it true that, our crude has been, sold ahead of time? That right now we are not getting money for the crude that is being sold.
I will leave Professor Ken to answer that. I will answer issues of monetary policy.
The moment the new administration came, and we strongly recommended securitizing some of these assets, because it is a way of avoiding, debt-based financing. Because debt-based financing is you borrowed money from outside. It's either they come and seize your asset, as China is doing in Mozambique and some of them, or they will squeeze life out of you because of the interest rates that are going up through the window. Of course, your dollar-based things are increasing. So we said shift some of those to assets. So you saw some bit of that securitization, that some of the future crude were securitized. So more cash was released in advance. And then you saw that on gas as well. So but what happened is that it's only a proportion, all right? So there is some refuge in the PIA. The PIA said we have to prioritize the local demand of the refining capacity. And so what that means is even though some have already been sold in advance, but if Dangote's requirement for crude exceeds what is normally available, the PIA says serve notice to other the other players, the IOC that are also taking their own, that you must prioritize supply of crude here.
Okay.
All right. So when you add that to the fact that the government has also said, okay, sell crude in Naira and sell PMS in Naira, the two of them are going to work interactively for good.
Okay.
But it's not going to be sweet news to those IOCs, because they are going to be saying, what are you doing to me? This is not what we agreed, Why are you squeezing? I also have my own refineries abroad where I'm supposed to be sending this crude. So what will happen is that some of them may leave onshore, to move to offshore. Some of them may say, okay, you are a smaller partner to me, buy me off and let me go. Okay. So you could see some of that playing out, the likes of Orlando and all of that. There will be more of those in the pipeline.
Okay.
So you heard the issue of our debt profile. In fact, I wanted, Dr. Ladibala to give us the exact...
public debt is 121.67 trillion. And if you convert it to dollar, it's $91.46 billion.
$91.46
billion.
That's our public debt.
Yes, public debt. And then we have the foreign debt, which has also gone up, as I said earlier, by 131.92%.
131?
Yes,
Oh, that's high.
0.92%. And I must tell you also that fiscal deficit has gone up. It has gone up. So, because government is spending, and although government needs to spend to bridge the supply gap, and I want us to look at the issues globally. These things, the disruption in the supply chain, is not only limited to Nigeria. These geopolitical tensions, like Russia, Ukraine,
the war in the Middle East.
Yes,
and all that.
they are all part of the problems, challenges we're having globally in all economies. So most governments will address them in the way that best suits their economies, but they have implications.
Okay.
So that's the...
All right.
So you were...
okay.
Yes,
yes.
I wanted Richard to also weigh in on the issue that Professor Ken, raised in addressing the fiscal end of, the inflation and all that. Since CBN has come mandate to tackle the inflation, let's look at the fiscal aspect.
Before I get to fiscal aspect, I have to go to a point raised by Dr. Ladi, as usual.
But you have to do that in 2 minutes.
Yes.
Because we're running
we have few minutes.
Definitely, debt to GDP is very important to understand your debt situation. IGR is an indicator of whether you are comfortable or not. But our IGR is going in debt servicing. But unfortunately, we keep on sharing high profile of cruisers to the tiers of government. The National Assembly has to look carefully into that, because out of the 3 points mentioned by the CBN governor, the backfiring of that sharing is also affecting our liquidity situation. The rationality behind the central bank, price stability. Price is a function of demand and supply. And that is why the relativity B0 minus B1P in its elementary economics stress how you strike an equilibrium. However, we have to appreciate two things from the bank. Dr. Ladi mentioned nations that have confidence in central bank. All of us in Nigeria have confidence in the bank because our resources are safer by day. And
you have to quickly round up so that we get
but what my opinions are, I am happy that the bank is hiking the MPR by 50 basis. 50 basis is a friendly point at which we'll address monetary issues, not 100 not basis. 200, not 400.
Okay. All right, let's bring in Nee now. Do you foresee another increase in the next meeting?
Yes,
it could be. It depends on the dynamics of the pricing system. If the inflation rate keeps going, if the core inflation rate keeps going, and we are an economy starved of dollars, starved of foreign exchange, and one of the primary avenue for us to have dollar inflow is to have foreign investors, especially portfolio investors, come in. Portfolio investors will not come in if they believe that the $100 million they are bringing in will actually, the interest that they will earn on it, will fall, because of the difference between the interest rate, MPR, that is established by the bank, by the CBN, and the inflation rate, because inflation rate is a major ticker that determines actual real rates. So if there is a huge gap between MPR and the inflation rate, the gap actually translates to deficits for the investor. So the investor wants a situation where he comes in and makes a earning, on his investments, and the earning is determined especially on the difference, how close the interest rate is to the inflation rate, and that is why the CBN keeps moving it up so as to encourage this
Encourage
inflow.
it.
All right. Thank you
Dr.
very much.
Ladibala, just last, your message to Nigerians at this point.
That the central bank is determined to bring down inflation at all costs. The Monetary Policy Committee members and the management of the central bank are focusing on price stability as their primary mandate and will do whatever it takes to bring down inflation for the benefit of the economy, for the benefit of corporates, small businesses, and also the average Nigerian on the street.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bala, Ladibala Kefi, MNI, for your submission today. The central bank is determined to bring down the rate of inflation in the country. So that's a ray of hope for Nigerians generally. So thank you, Acting Director, Monetary Policy Department. Thank you for coming to give more clarification on the MPC resolution. Thank you so much. Also, I want to thank Professor Kenny Faye, Economic Policy Experts, as usual. Thank you so much for coming on Good Morning Nigeria. Yushao Aliyu, Financial Analyst. Also, thank you for your contribution this morning. And Niya Akinshiju, Chairman, Independent Media Initiative and Financial
Media and Policy
Initiative.
Media and Policy Initiative.
Oh, Media and Policy Initiative
That's the most
and
important
Financial
leg of
Investments.
it. Yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Well,
you know,
pardon? 297 MPC. All right. So we hope that the next MPC will not tighten the belt again. Anyway, Claire.
Anyway, you know what I like to say? I want to say thank you to CBN. They've been very forthcoming. Good Morning Nigeria lately. You know, whenever we call upon them, they answer us. And please, our message to Dr. Ladibala is for take our message to the CBN. Your partner will ensure that we'll keep
on educating and creating the necessary awareness on government policies and government. Well, I am Ademola Adeoye. Thanks for joining us this morning, and do have a fabulous day.
I have not introduced myself.
Okay, go ahead.
Ladies first.
They know your name.
Anyway, I am Claire Adela Kwabdurasa. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
All right.